So this was our first course of the weekend and also my first time showing the 2-foot. So we came to this first jump with a really nice pace. She jumped it a little big, but she got the change right after, which was great. I brought her back to me down in this corner and we had a nice pace coming around here. I just didn't balance her very well around this turn, so we ended up swapping and being a little wiggly, but the distance still came up nice. And then after this jump, I still didn't really get her balanced or tell her where I wanted her to go, so she was a little bit wiggly trying to figure out where I wanted her, but she was still very good and came back to me for a little trot change in the corner before this line. We were a little deep in, but still a really nice jump, and then I just sat back and waited for this beautiful jump out. She was very good, and we had a very nice pace coming around here, but I didn't balance her very well through this turn again, so we had a bit of a deep distance to this jump. We rode right down this line though and had a nice jump out. Around this corner though, we definitely picked up a little too much pace for the hunters, so I probably should have slowed her down, but we ended up actually getting a nice distance. I just didn't quite slow her down enough through this line, so we were a little deep out, but it was still a really nice jump. But then I just brought her right back down and we ended with our courtesy circle. So this was our second course of the weekend, and we started with this diagonal jump here that we moved up really nicely to. She was really good and swapped her lead over the jump, so we didn't need a change, and we came through this turn nice and balanced. However, up to this jump, I probably should have moved up a little bit more. She wanted the longer distance and I just didn't see it, but we still ended up making it right down that line and getting a nice jump out. And again, a little too speedy through this corner here, but I did get her back to me right before this jump for a really pretty jump in, and then I held her through this line for a really pretty jump out. And then coming through this side of the ring, we maybe had a little too much pace. I probably could have brought her back to me a little better, but coming down to this diagonal, I just tried to keep my pace consistent up to it. We were a little close, but it still turned out nice and she jumped it well. She swapped her lead over that jump too, so we didn't need a change coming down around this corner here. But we did have a little bit too much pace, which caused us to chip into this jump, and then I didn't quite get her back enough, so I kind of buried her to this jump. Thank you, V, for getting me out of that. But then we just came around and ended with our courtesy circle. Still a pretty good course, and I was super proud of her. And of course, she got a lot of treats for being such a good girl. She also came second in the hack, which unfortunately I didn't get a video of, but she was really good for that too. So Sunday we started with a flat, and I won't bore you with too many videos, but she was super calm and really nice for this one. We did basically no prep before this, and she was really good in the ring. Her head was definitely a little too high for the hunters, but I was still super proud of how calm and responsive she was, and this flat definitely went better than our two yesterday, so I was super happy with her. And then moving right into our first jumping trip, this jump got a little cut off, but we had a really nice distance to it. Around this corner, I think we had a little too much pace. I kept her consistent until about 2 strides out, so we got a little fast and chipped, unfortunately, and then we were a little wiggly through this line and had a bit of a chip in that one too. We came around this corner a little fast again as well. I just needed to work on getting her back to me a little more. So we were a little wiggly, and then a bit of a deep distance there, and then a bit of a deep distance out, but not a terrible line. I just needed to kind of bring her back. Through this corner, I did end up bringing her back okay. We got a little bit deep to this one, but it worked out nicely, and I woed for the 6 down in this line, which is what we needed. And she even gave me a little flying change after, which was amazing. And then coming down around to our last jump here, you don't really see the corner, but we got a beautiful distance to it. She jumped it super cute, and I was overall really happy with that trip. And then coming to the first jump in our second trip of the day, it was this roll top coupe jump, and I think we just picked up a little too much pace right before it, so we ended up getting really deep to it, but she gave me a lead change after, which was nice. I probably still could have brought her back a little bit more. She was still kind of going a little too fast. But we did end up getting a nice distance here and then getting right down this line in 5 for a beautiful jump out as well. We stayed on the right lead. Again, still too much pace. We definitely should have slowed down, but I kept my pace pretty consistent down to this diagonal here. And we ended up with a really nice distance, and she swapped her lead, which was great. Again, coming through here, probably a little too much pace, but I worked on trying to keep it consistent. And so we had a really pretty jump in, a little wiggly down the line, but it made for a beautiful, beautiful jump out as well. And then, what do you know, we had way too much pace coming around this corner here. And that made for a bit of an unbalanced and rushed jump. And then just a little too much pace coming out. So it was a little long, and we probably could have fit an extra stride in there, which would have been ideal. But she was still super, super good for this trip, and I was so proud of her.
Hello.
So then a little later in the day, we did our very first ever jumper course together. So we picked up our canter and had a really nice first jump. And then we had a nice balanced rollback down to this yellow jump here. We got a little long, but it was okay. And then we came right to this green jump over here and had a really nice distance. And then I sat and brought her back for this rollback here to the red, which was also super nice. Coming to this next jump, I did not make a very nice turn to it, and I ran her right into the base of it. Thankfully, she was able to pop us right on over it, so thank you so much for that, V. I'm so grateful for you. She put up with my mistakes very well this weekend. After that jump, we came over this jump that's kind of hidden in the video, but it was very nice. And then came right down to the red line. The in was really nice. I got her a little deep to the last one, but overall, she was super good for this course, and I was really happy with it. So starting off the second course, I got her pretty deep to this jump. She got me right over it though. Then unfortunately, I ended up turning the wrong way, so we had to do this big old loop over to here. And I tried to have her slice the jump, but I didn't really set her up. She ended up still getting me right over that, which I was super grateful for. And we were able to continue with our course. But then we just turned right on down to this yellow jump here, which was actually pretty nice. And then we came all the way around to this jump all the way on the far end of the ring and had a pretty good distance to it there. And then right around to this blue jump, which we also got a pretty good distance to. She then gave me a perfect lead change right after this, and we rolled right back to this black jump here, which was super nice. And then we came right around down here to this blue line. We were a little long in, but we rode right down this line really pretty for a beautiful last jump of the course. So overall, I was obviously super, super happy with her in both of these trips. She did so well and saved my butt multiple times. I had a lot of fun too, and overall, she was just such an amazing girl this weekend. I really couldn't have asked for a better horse to have my first show of the season on and my first 2-foot rounds on. I really don't have words for how grateful I am for this horse. She was so, so good this weekend, and it was really such an amazing weekend. I had so much fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this vlog, and I hope we'll see you in the next one. Bye!